Hey there, everybody. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. If you're new to the channel, I'm so glad you're here. I hope you like what you see and the vibe. And if so, please hit that like and subscribe button. For my subscribers, hey, welcome back. Hope you had a nice holiday weekend. Many of you know I was traveling and it was good to get away. And now it's good to get back in my vibe and my, with my spirits and my normal setup and what have you. So really glad to be back here. Feel really refreshed. Feel very fortunate now more than ever. We've been talking about this on this channel and many others. Given so many things that we're dealing with, it's important for us to get around the people that we love and who love us as much as possible, right? So, and sometimes that may mean having to get on a plane or a train or automobile, whatever, but do what we have to do. All right, you all. Woo! No shortage of things to cover as usual in the political realm. But here's a couple of headlines on a good note that I wanted to share with you all before we go to the cards. One is I read an interesting story about some people in Minnesota who have begun what is being called a sauna culture. You heard that right, a sauna culture. And what they're saying is, in the midst of so much turmoil, social, political turmoil, and a lot of people feeling really isolated, especially as winter has really kicked in, that communities of people are coming together and sharing these saunas. Either they've built them or they go to outlets that have that offer that as a service, but they are using these saunas both to enjoy some warmth in the midst of these frigid temperatures, but also as a means to prevent the isolationism that can happen, as particularly during the winter months. And given the climate that we're in, that it's a way for people to start to or continue to feel connected and to build community. So I thought that was really interesting, and I think that part of what Spirit is giving so many of us during this time is we've got to be inventive, we've got to pivot, we've got to figure out how we continue to maintain our focus, maintain our connection with one another, believe in humanity. And on that end too, second story I ran across, TikTok. There's this mother, her name is Alexis Pruitt, and she had a very severe medical condition with her small son. She took to TikTok and raised enough money, because apparently TikTok has a paying platform as well. If you reach so many views, blah blah blah, you can monetize it. And so she did that to counter some of his medical expenses, and in fact raise some money to pay off some of that debt through her TikTok videos. So there are ways that with rising healthcare costs, that, and goodness only knows what's coming down the pike. I think that says something about the human spirit, and the fact that so many people, I looked at the TikTok video and she said, just give this 5 seconds of your time to help me and my son. And it went, millions of people looked at it, and she made some money from it. So I wanted to just start today off on that note and say, look, we got to continue to believe in one another, believe in the goodness of humanity, believe that good things can happen. And some of this is going to be on us to take the initiative to do some of these things and show our support for one another. Now, that said, talking about all these connections, what's with this I don't know even what to call it. Bernie Sanders apparently has come out and said, I don't know if it was full throttle support for Elon Musk, or Leon Muskrat, as we say. I don't, I think some of these stories are being sensationalized, and we all know how we feel about media coverage these days. I tend to get a little tender with that. Many of you, if you know me, you know I'm a former newspaper journalist, so I do have a soft spot. But I tell you what, back when I was, at the height of my career in the 90s, and what we see now, it is a different time. But that said, direct quote, though, apparently from Bernie Sanders, that's not been twisted, is that he has expressed some support for DOGE, Department of Governmental Efficiency, or something. I hope I got that right. And of course that caught the attention of Muskrat, who said, "Oh, cool, we can work together." Here's the thing. He said that in reference to Department of Defense and the Pentagon. And apparently the Pentagon has missed their last 7 audits every year, right? Their last 7 audits. They cannot account for billions of dollars that have been spent, billions with a B, that have been spent. And they have, if what I got was accurate, they've got a budget, an annual budget of about $886 billion, of which amount billions are unaccounted for. So Bernie Sanders came out and said, listen, on that score, I get you. Now, whether Hegseth is the person to come in and head up, whew, another day, another taping. We'll take a look at that the closer it gets, if all this goes down. And divine intervention, notwithstanding regarding Kamala Harris, if this continues, if this train continues to go down these tracks, we'll take another look at Hegseth. There's, oh my gosh, the stories that are coming out around him. Apparently these tattoos that he has as well, these, this far-right Christian nationalist. Okay. I want to take a look at whether... what is this dynamic with Bernie Sanders? What I'm getting from the guides, you all, is not just Bernie Sanders, but we may even see some interesting things coming from AOC, other progressives within the, on the Democratic side of things, because there is tremendous pressure right now for the Democrats to figure out how they are going to make some adjustments to win back a lot of the support that apparently they've really struggled with, and one way or another, whether you believe everything was fixed, or you can see that there's been some changes in the dynamic of support for the party. Have the Hierophant. That's what's up, you all. Thank you. I'm using I felt like a cat lady today, so I'm using Grimalkin's MJ Kulane's Grimalkin's deck. The Hierophant, governmental structure, the Hangman, trying to make some decisions and observing. This is a really interesting dynamic. Bernie Sanders, love him or not, and many people do for many different reasons. Certainly AOC, who I understand is the first person on Blue Sky to reach 1 million followers. So her voice, this progressive wing of the party, of the Democratic Party, this is showing us, Spirit is saying there is 100% with the Hierophant and the Hangman. It's not about caving in, before anybody gets too reactionary with that. That's not what the guides are saying. It's not about caving in or trying to do that. If you know anything about Bernie Sanders, he speaks his mind and he speaks his truth, whether or not somebody agrees with him. But I also think he's being realistic. And there's the Ace of Wands. If you see me at all, when I get aces, I see that as Spirit saying, yeah, you're on the right track. And also Wands, creative, fire, making things happen. Change must happen. I ran across a headline. I can't remember if it was Axios or it may have been The Ink, something online, and I wrote it down. It said, the Democratic Party must change or die. A little severe, eye-catching, sure. But on some level, is it, that change, one way or another, guides are saying, there are changes underfoot. The Knight of Wands, more fire. You know what? I would not be surprised. Spirit is saying, Spirit is Musk going to try and cultivate more of a relationship with the progressive part of the party? Yes. The Grimalkin, who is like the chief deity of this deck, speaks up. Here's the thing. For all of his money, for all of Vivek's money, they haven't run a governmental agency before, right? And they are going to need, Spirit is saying, between all these wands, the Ace of Wands, the Hierophant, the structure of the government, and that Knight of Wands, these conversations, this movement that has to occur, they're going to seek out the voices that they think will at least hear them, will at least give them, be in the same room together and have some conversations about where, cost cutting measures, in this case, Department of Defense, making them more accountable, making them, get to a place that they can at least have a decent audit. It doesn't mean that there's any turncoating. Yeah, Nine of Swords. So it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be, nobody's trusting each other. This is not like bros, the new bro code or something. That's not what Spirit is saying. But there is every indication here that there's a recognition that to some extent the Democrats, through progressive voices like that of Bernie Sanders, and don't be surprised if you see others begin to tilt in. I do have my eyes on AOC to see how she's going to navigate this, because she will. There's a lot of talk already around her. In fact, now I'm being led to look at it. There's a lot of talk around her. The MAGA faction, or the far right faction, is looking for their next target, right? Because, hey, Joe Biden, now he's pardoned Hunter. Lots being said about that one way or another. Like, what did you expect? What did you expect him to do, right? But there's some questions around then who is going to be the leadership? What's their next target? And a lot of them are starting to talk already about AOC because of her influence, because of her potential for growth, her youth, her intelligence, her political acumen, which we've seen develop since she's taken office. So the idea, they're already starting to circulate that she might take a run for 2028. I don't think that's going to be the case. At least my guides are not showing that right now. It could change. We know how this happens, but there are already too many names on that list. Gavin Newsom, Josh Shapiro, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, right? So I don't know about that, but they're going to be. I'm getting, the guys are saying, be careful, and we have to be supportive and continue to be creatively supportive for AOC and other progressives within the party, because they're looking for, that other side is looking for their next target to try and delegitimize, right? Three of Swords. I'm looking at whether or not it's true that AOC is positioning herself for a run. Three of Swords, Wheel of Fortune. I don't think so. Not at this time. I think she's just more very focused, Wheel of Fortune, on the cycles, this changing cycle, Democratic Party change or die, this cycle of change, and the role that she is definitely going to play in it, along with some other rising leaders. We know that Chuck Schumer has, we heard some things cropping up around Amy Klobuchar and Cory Booker, if there was going to be some struggle there, and Chuck Schumer stepped in and said, let's all line up and be a leadership force together. All right. Last thing I want to take a look at today is, what's his name? Jamie Raskin and Jerry Nadler. Now, is Nancy Pelosi, once again, behind the scenes maneuvering? That's what I'm getting. Not that Jerry Nadler doesn't need to necessarily step aside. What is he, in his 70s? So it's all about this whole, old guard, and the idea that the Democratic Party has to change, and the people need to see that there are efforts to change, and new voices, and a different tone to those voices, and different visions that are being offered. Is Jamie Raskin going to take Jerry Nadler's place? I'm sorry if I'm saying his last name wrong. Seven of Pentacles under consideration. Five of Cups. A lot of people, and this doesn't make any sense, but yes, here's the deal. Ace of Wands again came back. Here's the deal. There's enough of the political Democratic establishment, of whom Nancy Pelosi is a major force, in Congress, that still, despite everything, wants to hold on. For them to move on almost feels like an admission of defeat, or an admission that they did something wrong, that they are accountable and responsible for this turn of events, right? So they want to, there's almost this part of this, where they want to stay in there and feel like they can be the ones to right the wrongs. And that's just not, that's what this Seven of Pentacles is about. Spirit is saying it's too late for that. It's too late for that. That this older faction, these people must make way for younger. Six of Wands. It's happening. So yeah, I think Jamie Raskin we can watch for him to go ahead and step up as head of the Judiciary Committee, or not head of it, but the highest ranking Dem in the Judiciary Committee in Congress. And Jerry Nadler, sorry, right? I mean, it is what it is. Interesting, though, that Pelosi is apparently in the background. Once again, that woman, she's a piece of work. She's a piece of work. All right, you all. I didn't want to go on too far here. I wanted to keep this one short and sweet for you all. Really glad to be back in the chair, as I said, reading with you. I appreciate you. Let's remember, even, I'll be perfectly honest. I've been trying to think about the best ways to continue to do political readings right now. I welcome your questions. Feel free to leave anything in the comments. I ask respect and tolerance at all times, both for me and among yourselves. But I have been thinking about the best way to do it. I refuse to be an alarmist. And at the same time, I'm also trying to be a realist. Some of you have not been so happy with me when I do readings that seem to indicate that, Mickey D, as I call him, the guy who likes the Big Macs, that Mickey D may, in fact, make it through and get sworn in. I can only offer what I see, and try and stay authentic with you. And I'm always going to do that. I'm always going to keep it real. I understand that emotions run high. Mine do as well sometimes, when I'm just in my own space, in my own head. So I get it. Trust me, I get it. But I'm trying to also, I believe that whatever happens, as long as we have breath in our body, we can fix it. It can change. Change is a given. They even say the only constant is change, right? But we are a part of that change. And when we are experiencing all of this different, whether we look at it astrologically, spiritually, financially, our careers, our families, like this is real stuff that's happening with us, but we have to continue to stay. We got choices to make about how we're going to deal with it. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to start today's reading with you all around that sauna culture in Minnesota that I found out about. And even the woman on TikTok who's decided to monetize her, or trying to monetize her account so that she could help cover her son's medical bills. I mean, and how does that doesn't happen unless we support it. The saunas aren't filled unless, communities and people get together and say, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. So I hope that this platform and this channel can continue to serve as a conduit and a vessel for that. That's my objective. And yeah, let's just keep it going, right? Rolling into 2025. All right, you all have a good one, and I'll check in with you in a couple of days. Be good.